right, Nation, on X, Dispatch is censored on both Nintendo Switch and Switch 2. Nudity gets black bar, some moans are muted, and the, quote, visual censorship toggle available on PC and PS5 is permanently on. No way to uncensor it. I played Dispatch on stream and, of course, had the censorship on because I'm streaming it. There was a tremendous amount, especially early on in the game, of censored portions of the game where I was grateful that they provided the option because I didn't want sausages swinging around on a stream because that would probably be a bad mix. But if you're going to be playing a game on your own accord, enjoying it in your own personal space, what the hell is wrong with being able to take the censorship off of it, especially if it's already available on other platforms? And I immediately jump right to, this has got to be stemming from a Nintendo of America type decision because it doesn't make any sense. Hypocrisy at its finest. Spawnway, hentai game number 312. I sleep. Literally 50% of the eShop recent releases tab. I sleep. Dispatch. Boom. Savvy says, Nintendo of America is censoring an M-rated game. Down with the ESRB since it no longer serves a purpose. Which, before we even go further, I think a lot of people would hear this and be like, why is she bringing up the ESRB? Clearly, this is a Nintendo decision. Why do we need ratings on games then? Riddle me this. Wasn't the point of the ratings board to avoid companies censoring stuff? Isn't that what we all agreed on in the first place? If the companies like Nintendo or Sony sometimes are going to supersede the ESRB and censor things, Code Vein 2 comes to mind, black things out that weren't previously blacked out in other games or other versions, why do you need an ESRB to tell you it's mature rated? At that point, it's censored, so who cares? If they're going to remove moans and stuff like that, again, why do you need a ratings board? Shut down Nintendo of America. Here, by the way, I agree. It is a redundancy and, even worse, a poison. All censorship is evil. Fiction does not need regulation nor censorship. I would probably push back a little bit on all censorship is evil. I see where she's coming from. That might be like a basis of coming from an evil place, maybe. But again, I think that there is a definite need for lines to be drawn in society. The problem is the lines have been drawn, universally accepted. And now people are trying to push the lines to push power, push control, change dynamics, change the language around how things are talked about so that they are granted authority by society. So while I do disagree, not all censorship is evil. I would say it is necessary in some places. I would agree that there are definitely people taking advantage of it. And that's what you need to concern yourself with. Daniel says, let's forcibly censor our game and wait until it's too late for everybody that pre-ordered it to cancel before we say anything. Well, to be fair, don't pre-order games. I don't know how many times I have to say that, but this is from the studio making it, Ad Hoc Studio. Dispatch, out now. Let's circle back. Dispatch is out now on Nintendo Switch and Switch 2. And I got to be honest, it's a really fun game. I highly, highly recommend it. Strongly enjoyed my time with it. Was unable to give it a number grade because it's just such a weird visual novel / simulation game with city defense, I guess, like a tower defense game, kind of. I don't even know how you'd even define it, but it's fun. And the storyline really carries this game all the way through. But people in the comments are not having it. Pre-order the game yesterday and was excited until I saw it was censored. There was none of this in the description of the game. I want my money back. That's a problem, by the way, with the expectation going in and the reality coming out. Off with the censorship. From the Ad Hoc Discord, seems like Nintendo of America service rep is implying that this decision was a decision by Ad Hoc, not Nintendo of America. Can't share the print screen here, but this is the answer I got from Nintendo support chat when I shared my feedback to them as well. Understood. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Consumer feedback is very important to us, so we'll make your comments available to other departments here at Nintendo of America to use as they see fit. In this case, as the developers are in charge of the content that will be on the game, you can also reach out to Ad Hoc Studio, as they are the publisher of this game, in order to let them know that there are some things to improve in their game. With Cyberpunk having no censoring, I am not sure this is a Nintendo issue. Interesting. Makes you wonder why that was. If this was from Ad Hoc Studio, if they really were the ones behind censoring it and removing the toggle to remove the censorship, why they would do such a thing. Jolly says, this makes no sense. Nintendo has hundreds of Switch and Switch 2 games that contain nudity, swearing, and gore. Cyberpunk, Bayonetta, Mortal Kombat, GTA 1 to 3, Walking Dead, all those Japanese fan service games on the eShop. What makes Dispatch any different? Dispatch on Switch and Switch 2 censored compared to PC and PS5 versions. Total villain move. We originally learned that Dispatch was heading to Nintendo platforms through an Aussie eShop listing a few weeks back. While that news was incredibly exciting, digging a bit deeper into that listing caused a bit of concern. Long story short, the eShop listing for the Digital Deluxe Edition used artwork that was censored as compared to the Digital Deluxe Edition artwork on the PC PS5, at least on the American eShop, as the European eShop used the same uncensored artwork seen on PC PS5, which I think from there is where people started assuming that this was a Nintendo of America decision. But it seems like Nintendo of America is saying, no, it's Ad Hoc, the developer publishers of this game, and the people you need to talk to about this. That raised some red flags, with Nintendo fans wondering if this indicated that the game would be censored. Unfortunately, that speculation turned out to be correct. So when it comes to Dispatch, if you're not familiar with how the game operates and plays, there are segments of the game, especially early on, where there's a whole lot of nudity in the game. And it's all blacked out. You can toggle it on and off if you want to. Removing the ability to do that inserts a slippery slope concern of, if they're going to do that to this, what's the next step? And the next step. I feel like a lot of progress has been made with the community with anti-censorship, and this is a massive blow to that. We can personally confirm that Dispatch on both Switch and Switch 2, at least in America, has been censored in a number of ways. We're unsure if this is the case with the European release. When opening up Dispatch settings on menu in PC and PS5, there are censorship toggles for replace licensed music, visual censorship, and profanity censorship. On Switch and Switch 2, the visual censorship toggle is completely missing, meaning visual censorship is always on. This results in multiple scenes where nudity is covered up by black boxes. Furthermore, there is at least one scene where characters moaning during a sex scene has been muted. This is actually like art. I know people always try to claim like don't censor art and all games are art. That may be a different conversation, but for this game, it's a visual novel. It's clearly art, and it was clearly the artist's decision to do that with the game. And by putting the censorship on top of it, you are now blocking what the vision of the artist is. And here's the biggest point. No matter how old you are, how mature you are, what your age is, what the ESRB rating is, none of that matters, because they have removed the choice for you to decide to see the original artist's vision, or what they decide what you're allowed to see after the game was created. That's where it's messed up. It's unclear why Nintendo decided Dispatch had to be censored for its arrival on Switch and Switch 2. All we know is that Ad Hoc had to comply in order to bring the game to Nintendo fans, so concessions were made. According to the new information, that actually might not be the case, though. It may just be Ad Hoc deciding to do it. And if that's the case, I would put it on Ad Hoc to make a statement about why they did it. Because right now, you have the entire community pissed off at Nintendo of America for what happened to this game. If this had nothing to do with Nintendo, you need to tell the community that, so that they know they're not blaming the wrong people. Because it's pretty messed up to do this, put it on a platform, and then make it seem like you didn't do anything wrong and it's all the other bad guys and Nintendo doing these bad things. And here's the other side of it. If they didn't do it, they should also make a statement saying, it was not our decision to do this. We had to do it to follow certain regulations to follow. They don't even have to call Nintendo out. They can just say, for certain platforms to publish games on, there are rules we need to follow and leave it at that. At least let people know either way what actually happened with this. And I think that is going to clear up a lot because right now it's fucked situation. This can't be happening, regardless of if it's Nintendo or if it's the publisher of the game or if it's the developer or whoever is involved with it. It can't happen across the board. So I will definitely keep you guys posted if we have an update from Ad Hoc on this. I think if there's enough pushback on this situation, they're going to be forced to update it and put a patch through to put that toggle back. And if they do that in a weird way, that's going to open up a whole nother can of worms, because then you have all the Karen moms out there that bought this game for their kids, and you already know they're going to say, oh, the update, it was a nudity patch. After I bought the game, they inserted nudity in a game. When I bought it, it wasn't there. So they fucked themselves by doing this. You can't do this. You have to just leave it the way it is, because once you do this, you piss off everyone. There's no making anyone happy, because once you try to go back on it, you're going to piss off the whole other group of people as well. I am curious to see if we're going to get an update on this. And like I said, I'll follow up with you guys and let you know if I hear anything. But for now, Dispatch has been censored and it pisses me off because the game is a great game. It really is. And it doesn't deserve that fate. I really do hope we find out about this because I think it's important to know for future games. You need to know who's behind this. And whether they make an official statement or not, I think eventually it will come out. Somebody at the studio is going to say something at some point, somewhere.